Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's outstanding primetime gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and not only do we have an outstanding panel, which we'll get into in a second, but our topics are breaking news and some of which that have taken the interwebs by storm. So let's get right into, of course, our special guest. And we'll start off with the man, the myth, the legend. You know him as Mr. Blockathon and someone that doesn't take any shit. Please welcome, first time on camera, Wilmy Hood.
What is going on, Boom? What's up, everybody out on YouTube land? Man, there's a lot of shit that went down the last couple of days, and I'm sure we're going to get into it at some point, so why wait?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously there is a lot to talk about. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. I've been getting, I got about a dozen DMs on Twitter. I also got a lot of messages, regular messages on Twitter. And a lot of people want to know if we're going to be talking about the actual leak that happened over the weekend. Now, we're going to basically reference it, but we're going to talk about the announcement of the two big games for Sony, and we have a huge Sony topic. The leak itself is something that we are going to break down on tomorrow's new episode of Primetime Gaming Plus, which happens at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a whole thing I wrote up about it and how disgusted I am, how one person could logistically ruin a game that people have been waiting for years, but I don't want to get too much into that. Let's continue with the introductions. Now, Tim Dog is here. He dropped out for a hot second because he was having some technical issues, and the same as Forte. For some reason, they're just having tech issues, and they will be here, but momentarily. So let's get into the remainder of the panel. Now, you know him as someone that is our resident MMO player. He is a sniper on the battlefield and someone that was moved physically and emotionally as he finished Final Fantasy VII at 3:30 in the morning. Please welcome Tempest Sun. Oh, very nice.
Yes, nice, Wilmy. Yeah, no, thank you, Boom. And yeah, pre-show I told you a true story last night. Finished at 3:30 a.m. and shout out to my lovely wife. She watched pretty much the whole game as I played it. And after it was done, I was just kind of sitting there watching the credits. She's like, hey, babe, you okay? She was so concerned. So it was something. I'll tell you what. So maybe when we do like a review for it sometime soon, we can get into it. But yeah, that's a nice helmet.
That is, I actually have it awesome sitting right next to me. That is a dope helmet. Doesn't matter. Yes. But listen, let's last but not least, well, at least obviously one of these 6 people we have on today's panel, we have our resident Cape Crusader who got home in the nick of time to be here for tonight's show. Please welcome Cybernox.
Hey, thank you so much, Boom. It's always a pleasure to be here on Primetime Gaming. It's Monday. Let's get the week started. I'm happy. I had my firmware update last week, so there was a little bit of celebrations, which is nice. So I'm ready to talk about some games. Let's go.
All right. So as we wait for both Tim Dog and Gaming Forte to get back on in here, let's start in with basically what's been I guess taking up the news space and that's I guess that anything that or anyone that can talk about really is about the Last of Us 2 leak. Now, like I said, we're not going to get into particulars because okay, hold on, here's Forte, Gaming Forte. What's up, dude?
What's up?
There he is, live on camera to match Wilmy Hood. Welcome, my brother. This is, of course, he doesn't need any introduction, but he's going to get one nonetheless. He is not only our amazing community at large member, he is the hardest working podcast member in, of course, all of YouTube, in my opinion, because I think he's on 17 and a half shows.
I thought it was 23 and 0.8 or something like that.
But he also is not only someone that keeps his ear to the ground and notifies us of anything and everything about GameStop, but he also has an amazing YouTube channel. Welcome, Gaming Forte.
Yo, I always love your intros. Your intros inspire me to want to be more than I actually am. And I
Well, you know what? I
appreciate that
got
from you.
inspired by obviously the voice of the Iron Lords podcast known as Cognito. So I took some
Man,
from him.
you should have heard the one he did on Last Word from My Name Is Vife. It was cringe. It was beautiful. I was like, I need something like that in my life every day. So boom, I'm gonna have to pay you to give me something like that every week.
I'll do it for free.
I know you will.
All right. Well, yeah. Again, as we wait for Tim Dog to come on back, he was having some technical issues. Hopefully, we can get him back in here shortly. But you know what? Let's get into the breaking news. Now, like I said, tomorrow's Primetime Gaming Plus is something new that has come. It's something that I want to do for the community. It's my way of giving back, giving you that extra piece of content. And it was originally the Xbox Factor podcast, but of course, it varies from week to week on how much Xbox news or how many original topics I can write. So I wanted to make it more of a multi-plat show, giving me a bit of a breathing room, so to speak. Sure, you're going to get your big Xbox topics in there, but it allows me to talk about the Nintendo Switch Pro. It gives me, an opportunity to talk about a couple of Sony topics that we have. And one of the big topics for tomorrow is of course the leak and how I personally feel about it. But there's been a lot going on with Sony, and quite frankly, it seems as if really roles have reversed. Whereas it seemed in the beginning of this generation, Microsoft could not catch a break. No matter what they did, there was something happened to make it seem like they were stumbling and bumbling. And it seems as if they could not catch a break, no matter what happened, no matter how many good games, no matter whatever they did, something was going to turn out wrong. Well, it turns out that Sony has now kind of taken on that position because, since December 12th, the fateful day when the Xbox Series X was shown off, it really seems like Sony has been in a bit of a disarray, and it's gotten worse where thankfully I really tiptoed through the landmine yesterday and saw nothing. I've watched several videos, like a good friend of the show, BitCloud Gaming. He did a rant video that was fantastic, talking about how disgusted he was over the leak. And even though I'm not going to go into particulars, it was bad. It was bad in a sense where I think it might actually, I don't know if it's going to hurt sales. I think people are going to play through it and love it nonetheless. But it's going to ruin the wow factor on certain situations. And I'm just really glad that I kept my eyes away from everything. I didn't watch anything because I'd be mad. And I know millions of people are mad. I know Naughty Dog is mad. I know Sony is mad. And it's a shame. Thankfully, though, Sony somewhat stopped the bleeding. And they did that on their blog post today, where they announced the official release dates for both The Last of Us 2 and Ghosts of Tsushima. So what I want to do, before I get everyone's opinion on what's going on, is I want to read the direct press release from the PlayStation blog. And it says this: as our teams at Sony Interactive Entertainment and Worldwide Studios approach development milestones and confront a world changed by COVID-19, we find ourselves having to adapt to today's ever-changing environment. Amidst some disruptions to our work style, we wanted to provide an update to PlayStation gamers who are eager to learn when our next exclusive titles will arrive on the PlayStation 4. As we begin to see an ease in the global distribution environment, I am pleased to confirm that The Last of Us Part 2 will arrive on June 19th, and Ghosts of Tsushima will follow on July 17th. I want to personally congratulate and thank both teams at Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch Productions on their achievements. As we know, it has not been an easy feat to reach the finish line under these circumstances. Both teams have worked hard to deliver world-class experiences, and we can't wait to see what you think of them when they are released in just a few short months. And finally, I'd like to thank the PlayStation community for its continuous support and patience. Now, look, I don't necessarily know if a release date that's 6 weeks away is going to ease the anxieties and the frustration and the disappointment and just cueing any word that makes you sick to your stomach. What happened was, I got to be honest with you. Again, not to tout myself as being the old bastard in the room, but I have been gaming since 1978, and I've always been into games, and I've always been into media. Even before I was a podcaster, even before I was writing a stupid little blog that I had when I was a police officer. And I have, in my entire life of playing games, never witnessed anything quite like this. And I think that it's almost sad that we still have 6 weeks to wait for this game, because I got news for you. It's not going to change anything. Even if I would have known something, I'm still going to play this game. It is going to be a masterpiece. There's no doubt about that. But I want to go to our guest, Wilmy Hood. When you saw the leak and you heard everyone's crying, everyone was crying foul, and for good reason, do you think that this official release date of two of their biggest games this generation is their way of stopping the bleeding, so to speak?
I mean, they really don't have many other options at this point, do they?
No.
I mean, there's not a whole lot they can do. It's out there. It's on YouTube. People are commenting it all over Twitter. I mean, there's not much else they can do at this point. They had to do something. So, I mean, I don't know what else they could do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but in your opinion, being a businessman, you know what I'm saying? Besides what you did for our country, you are in your current position, owner of a business, and I know that what you do is different than video games, obviously. But
you just tad.
The question is, but more importantly, is 6 weeks too long to get this game into gamers' hands?
I mean, everybody speculates the game's ready to launch, but it may not be, for all we know.
Right.
So 6 weeks is 6 weeks. I mean, we're just going to have to suck it up, and we're going to have to wait. And like you, I didn't really care about the spoilers. I'm trying to avoid them. Right. And if I do run into one, it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to play the game anyway. So it doesn't really matter that much.
All right. I mean, listen, it's good to know that you're still going to play no matter what, and I cannot wait for this game. Actually, Tim Dog just arrived. Tim Dog, welcome to the show, brother.
Glad to have you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, it's great to have you here. We were concerned that maybe you wouldn't get back, but you are here. Obviously, you are the voice, the very popular voice on both RDX and TXR on Sunday evenings with Invader Gaming. How you been, brother?
Good. Just like everyone else, just hunkering down, trying to get through all this, and just like everyone else, waiting for the Xbox news to come along so we can get some of the boredom out of it. But yeah, it's been boring, but overall been all right. Haven't gotten sick.
Well, listen, dude, health before wealth. I keep saying that. If you don't have your health, even if you're rich, you can't spend the money when you're dead, right? So
exactly.
Being our second special guest, we opened up the show. We referenced the horrific Naughty Dog leak, but what we're really hunkering down on is two questions. The first one being, was this way, with the release dates officially out there from the official PlayStation blog released this afternoon, where we know for a fact when we're getting The Last of Us 2 and when we're getting Ghost of Tsushima, for that matter, is it enough to stop the bleeding? And more importantly, can Sony recover from this leak?
Well, I mean, I never really remember something like this. Yeah, this is pretty uncharted territory. So, pardon the pun, but it's something where I've never seen anything like this. So, without going into, I'm not going to further spoil anything.
I saw your tweet out there too. That was really
Yeah.
for you to get in front of this. Great.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I got hit with it. So, in a case like me, listen, video games are not like movies where if a movie's spoiled for you, I think it's a little bit worse. The bottom line is like, let's say you did get spoiled. It's not the end of the world because you still got to play the game. There's still gameplay. There's still mechanics. There's still graphics. There's still parts where, you could always remember and be, it could be an epic part of the game, whether it be a certain portion of the game. So I don't really say that this is a death blow. But it's an unfortunate situation for Sony, and like I said, I kind of feel bad for them, even though there's two sides of this argument. What the guy did was wrong, but you never do that. I would never do that, even if somebody wronged me really bad. But there is a debate that goes on with this. But overall, the fans are the innocent ones, and
I agree.
Why put them in this position? But for your overall question, I think that minimal damage will be done. It's still, when it'll come out, it'll still do very well. I don't know if it's gonna be a 95, 96 Metacritic, because not because of anything that was known or anything. I just think that there's a little bit of taint put on the game now, unfortunately. But let's hope that's not the case. I hope reviewers and everyone can go in. I heard you talk about the WoW experience, and that for those that have gotten that taken away, it's hard. It's a hard situation to put a reviewer in that position, because if you don't know what's going to happen, and then you get taken off, you get taken off, it's off your feet, and you're like, wow, that was amazing. That's a great feeling. But
it is.
Unfortunately, when you lose that, it can affect little things. So I want to say minimal damage, but definitely something that was unfortunate, and hopefully we don't have this ever again, because like I said, I don't remember this severe. And anybody who's posting that stuff, that's really should be banned immediately, and it's childish. This isn't console wars. This isn't something. These are people that worked hard, and if there was a company dispute or with an employee, that happens all the time. But you know what? Don't hurt everyone involved in the process, including the fans. And unfortunately, we have an ugly situation here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Gaming Forte, I want to bring you into this conversation, but let me just get some of these super chats. First of all, J-Mo Money, the outstanding $2 super chat, and says this: "Will me look just like I imagined, only smoother."
Hey,
I love it. Kenta Wilson, thank you so much for being here, but more importantly, thank you for the $2 super chat. And they say Hellblade 2 will be Microsoft's God of War. Oh, one of them for sure. There's no doubt about that. So listen, you obviously are the man of around town when it comes to shipping dates and knowing some things that maybe the regular people don't know because of your position in a GameStop. And obviously, I tried not to bring this into a leak conversation, but it has to come up because it's at the cusp of everyone's tongue, and for good reason. What happened was gross. My question to you is, we've talked on this panel for months now about how one company is going in another direction and the other company is kind of going into a territory where they're not used to. And I'm talking about Sony kind of taking the elevator down into the basement and Microsoft taking it to the penthouse. And again, this has nothing to do with the games. We know that Sony is they have two bangers for 2020 that are probably going to be in the Game of the Year conversation. That is irrelevant. It's the way the company has handled themselves. It's what has happened to the company. And this leak, in my opinion, is not only could it happen at a worse time, but it's just another black eye for the Sony Corporation, more specifically PlayStation. For you, when you saw the blog today released with the finally getting the two official release dates, you think it was enough to stop the bleeding?
Well, the biggest thing is do I think it was enough to really truly stop what was happening when it comes to the company? Well, Sony has bigger problems than just what was just leaked today from Naughty Dog. They're still trying to recover from everything that's happening, worldwide. That's really going to affect them more than Microsoft because they are more of a worldwide brand. I think this is just more fire that they have to find a way to put out as fast as possible. I do think if they could put this game out earlier, they would, because, with leaks and stuff of the game being out there, it just kind of makes it a little bit more, it's sour. The longer it's out there, the more it sours people's expectations of what the game is going to be. Is it going to diminish and really hurt sales? I don't think so, to the point where it's going to be noticeable. It will hurt sales because there will be people that don't like what they saw or what they heard, and they'll be like, okay, I'm not buying the game. So anybody that says it's not going to hurt sales, it will hurt sales, but will it hurt sales to the point where it's going to be detrimental to the game? That's not going to happen, because most people are still going to want to experience the story of how we got to that point. And I actually think that's probably going to be more interesting, because it's a lot of context that's left out of it. If you just watch some of the stuff that is being leaked out there, you really don't know how we got to this point. So I think the buildup of how we get there is going to probably be even more heightened from a lot of people, just to see where they want to go with this story. I just think it also just talks about a deeper problem that no developer is perfect. A lot of people, we call them naughty gods and stuff like that, and that's because of the games they bring to us and the experiences they bring across all those games. And this just lets you know that every company is human. They have human beings that work at it. Stuff like this always happens. I don't want to sit this at Sony's front door, says this is Sony's fault. That's why I don't think they're
no. This is an internal problem.
This is an internal problem. Just be like they always tell you, if Sony's the master of everything underneath them. And sometimes stuff happens that you just aren't, as keen into knowing about at the absolute lower levels of what the company is. That's what you have people in management at those companies to be able to squash that type of stuff as you can. So the bleeding, this is just another thing that they have to put a Band-Aid on, and as quickly as possible. But ultimately, they still have to worry about how we're going to get this PlayStation out there. How are we going to ramp up marketing across all of these different countries? And how are we going to get more people excited about the brand? And the one thing I think Bad Bit brought up a couple of times, so shout out to him, is they're trying to promote something that you can't see. They're trying to promote sound, and they're trying to promote feedback that you get when you experience the game through the haptic feedback. That's why that is such a big part of their presentation. That's why their rollout is so weird to begin with. So they're still trying to combat that. So this is just another thing that they have to really force themselves to think about. Now, them delaying it for basically 3 extra weeks is nothing. I mean, the game was coming. Now, if you look at it from the original release date of February and they pushed it all the way back to now it's June 19th, you'll be like, oh man, it got pushed back like 4 months almost. Well, no, officially it's really three weeks. And Ghost is a Casualty got pushed out another 3 weeks or 4 weeks after that. So that's not that bad. I'm just happy we finally have a release date to look forward to, and we know when to expect this game. I think that's the number one thing Sony was really trying to do. And this could be a reactionary thing. We'll never know if they actually plan to release the time and day that this game was going to release before this actual leak happened, or was this a reactionary thing to it? Me personally, I just think bad luck is what's hitting Sony right now, just like it kind of hit Microsoft all this generation for a lot of things they were doing. Some of it self-inflicted, some of it just nothing they can do. So they'll recover. It just sucks for gamers to have to either wait for something they were expecting, but then on top of that, wait for something they were expecting, but also have to navigate minefields for the next month and a half before this game actually releases for people to actually get a chance to play it for themselves. So I don't envy their situation. I feel bad for them, but that's kind of the way Sony's been going ever since the leadership changeover.
Yep.
That might have something to do with it. You really never know how much Shuhei, being the worldwide leader of studios, had a thumbprint on all of his developers and knew the pulse of what was going on in those development houses. That's the one thing we always used to hear from PlayStation people. Like, Shuhei was always in studios talking to the developers. So we don't know if him not being there, being that voice of reason, or being that person that just thought outside the box, and was basically there to say, hey, take your time, we're going to be fine. Now we have a person like Jim Ryan, more numbers driven. We know the things that he did when it came to the marketing and the financial hardship that PlayStation 3 went to, and he brought that system back full force. But the thing that happens when you have a person that's in financing running your company now, all you see is the numbers and the dollars and the stuff you need to do to make that system more profitable. And you kind of make pitfalls and other things like the health of your company when it comes to the developers that are working in it, and stuff like this kind of falls through the cracks. So this might just be another instance where the leadership changeover is kind of affecting even the studios at large. And this may not be the first, and it may not be the last. So hopefully over time this gets better, but it's not a good look right now, unfortunately.
I mean, look, a perfect example of what you're talking about of Shuhei and his thumbprint is when he went into the God of War studio and told them, I don't like anything.
Yes.
You remember that? It crushed the entire team. You know what I'm saying? And he went in there because he was hands-on, and he wanted the best product for its customers. And again, I don't know what the game looked like. I'd love to be able to fly on the wall during that conversation. But look how it turned out. Right? Like, he pushed them in a direction to make God of War the 2018 game of the year it was, right?
Yeah.
So the leadership change, I think it's going to be more of a problem than people are willing to admit. But again, that's a conversation for another time. You know, Tempest, I want to bring you in on the conversation because privately we were talking and you were like, listen, Boom, I'm not going to spoil anything. But you had an interesting thought. If you don't mind sharing it, you were excited for this game. Is that the case anymore?
Yeah. I'm almost reluctant to even say yay or nay, because the more you talk about it, full disclosure to everybody, I know everything. I was just intrigued, to be honest with you.
Now, you weren't fooled into this like a rope-a-dope. You went in like, I have to read this.
Yeah, exactly. And matter of fact, it's probably the reason I got no sleep last night, because my mind was I'm going to be honest with you. I was sitting there thinking about, I was looking for Final Fantasy stuff, and I saw a couple tweets on my timeline. I'm like, what's this? I'm like, leaks. You know, I'm a so-so fan of the first one. I like story beats. I didn't really like any of the gameplay. And, you know, to me, you got to have a little bit of both in there to make like a truly phenomenal game. To me, that's just my opinion. So I wasn't super excited for this new one, but I was excited enough to where I might have bought it. Since you asked me, honest to goodness, I messaged you privately. I said, no, it's not my cup of tea. And I'll just leave it at that. You know, okay. I was interested, and now I'm not interested. You know, I've said this since the second this game got announced. I said this, and I've kept this stance. They didn't need a second one. The first one, to me, ended in such a perfect place. I don't know, in this kind of world, in this kind of setup, like to me, the ultimate that The Walking Dead ever was, to me, was the first season and a good way portion of the second season. They could have ended it. Its first two seasons to me were by far the best. Eventually, season 3, season 4, I'm like, I'm out. I'm just peacing out, you know? And I just see this kind of story doing the same thing. So yeah, I know everything. I'm almost even reluctant to say what I will say is it's so bad. The situation is so bad. You can't even go on Neil Druckmann's own post that he put out on Twitter, and you can't check the official Naughty Dog post because there is person after person after person just pissed off, upset that it got spoiled for them. people that maybe haven't even seen the spoilers, but they're like, hey, douchebags, no wonder this happened to you. You're not paying your employees. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. This is not,
that's a great point. I kind of want to just talk about that because Gaming Forte brought up a great point. He says that he doesn't necessarily know if this is going to quote unquote hurt sales, but you have admitted that based on it was the base that it was ruined, right? You now you've moved away from potentially purchasing the game. Do you think that there are hundreds or thousands of other people that were kind of really big fans of the series and they took it in a way that maybe a lot of people won't like, and they're like, this isn't my Last of Us, I'm not buying now? Do you think that based on the leak, even with the release today on the blog post, and it was very well written, it's like thanking the fans, thanking Naughty Dog, thanking Sucker Punch for doing the extra effort to get these games out during very trying times. I don't think it's going to be enough. Do you think sales could be hurt?
Honest to goodness, yes, they do. Okay, it depends on how. It's
going to be for each person, I would imagine.
Exactly. It's going to hurt. And the reason it's going to hurt is I barely had to dig. I was interested in what was going on, and it was just a couple little clicks on Google, and I knew everything. That's not going away. That's not going away. That's going to be there. Okay, I'll pull up. Do I have full disclosure to kind of spoil Endgame, Avengers Endgame? I mean, it's like a movie from last year. Can I speak on that?
I mean, listen, I'm okay with it because I mean the movies. It just made a year this week.
Okay, so that day I didn't go on Twitter, which is I became addicted to Twitter, so that's big for me. No Twitter, no nothing. And I was like, I am not getting this movie spoiled for me. Not doing it. All right. At the time, I was super big into Black Desert. In Black Desert, people can just type whatever they want. So I was even turning off in-game chat to my own detriment because, some of my teammates were like, hey, somebody's going to kill you. And I was like, I'm not paying attention. Right. So the one time I had chat on, somebody just randomly said, Iron Man dies. And I was like, that is such a blanket statement. This person could just be lying. So I didn't think anything of it. And the following day, I saw the movie. And when I walked out of the theater, I had so many emotions. It was a great experience because I thought nothing spoiled. But I bet the following day, I was like, oh my God, that dude, he had the inside scoop. He knew. He saw the movie and he just spoiled it.
What D-bag?
I know. I was like, thankfully, I forgot about it. So it impacted me. But I was in Black Desert. Black Desert has nothing to do with Avengers.
I see your point. You're really bringing up some fantastic points because something, the way social media is, and we understand how immature it can be. I'm hoping that the community at this point, I don't know what else you can do. It's really out there, rallies around getting these leaks taken down or going out of their way to, I guess, herd the people away from these things. As you said it yourself, even when you click on Nick on Druckmann's thing, you're getting it.
Oh, well, it's in your face. You can't escape it. It's it's in your face. So this is why I think it is going to have an impact because the game is still 6 weeks away now?
Yes, 6 weeks exactly.
Dude, I couldn't see Endgame on opening night without somebody. Like I said, good thing. I disregarded what that dude said, but that man was like, Iron Man dies, and it was out of nowhere. Okay. He just shouted it in game. So it's going to happen. If you really, really care about no spoilers, dude, you have to go in your settings on Twitter and everything else and just try to block out certain words.
A lot of words. Yeah,
exactly. Now, so I personally think it's going to affect it some. Now about the actual leak itself, there's so many people on Twitter I see make fun of the developers at Microsoft getting to have banquets, if you will, of nice lunches and people saying, hey, I got this. Oh man, I just got my dream job at Microsoft. People like to make fun of, oh, what are they doing? They're not making any games. They're just having these lush, spreads and lattes, and they're going to work in their flip-flops and shorts. And I'm like, Nice, sign me up, please. Like, please hire me.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Oh
for
my
real.
God.
And trust me, like the Microsoft games are coming, but we're hearing the exact opposite. And what happens? Apparently, it's a pay dispute. If you pay attention to even half of what Schreier said, the most damning thing in that report from Schreier was people still working there would actually wish that the game would fail, just so
I
they
read
could
that.
learn that putting their employees to the grindstone so hard and just brute forcing a fantastic game isn't enough. And, I almost can't say I'm surprised that this happened, to be completely honest with you. And just, it's not really Sony's fault. This is a Naughty Dog problem, but it's a first party Sony studio. And besides a cool looking controller, we've had no info, and the info we have gotten has been slightly disappointing. And I'm not looking forward to sending pictures of my earlobes to Mark Cerny. Like, that's what we got to look forward to. We just need some more info, and this is info we need,
The only hood showing the earlobes. You better hide those, man. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just bad news all around. It is. I don't even know what to say, man. This is just not the same Sony from a year ago. And it blows my mind to see this happen, because at first it was like there was no stopping this company. Everything was going perfectly for them. And then they brought Flute Boy out on the E3 stage, 2018, and it hasn't been the same. So I don't know, man. I want to hear what Cyber has to say, because I talked to him about it this morning. Yeah.
Cyber, let's bring you in on the conversation, because obviously, the leak, it's here. We're not gonna talk directly about it, but we're gonna put it this way. The leak happened. It shocked the world. It shocked the entire gaming world. And I don't give it. Listen, I want people to understand something. Put down your fucking flags for a second, okay? And understand that this is not about the console wars. This is about a company that might be in more trouble than people are willing to admit. There is all kinds of reports of crunch to the point of madness over there. Think about this for a second. Think about how angry you would have to be as an employee of Naughty Dog that you would do such a thing to your peers. It's not Naughty Dog that you're hurting. It's your peers that you worked with, that worked these 19-hour days that we're hearing, right? It's the fan base, the millions and millions of fans that are now soul crushed over something that was supposed to be not only one of the biggest games of 2020, potentially game of the year, game of the universe, if you will, in some people's circles. And now that's all been ruined. There's no taking it back. There's nothing they can do to change it. My question to you, Cyber, is two questions. One, how does Naughty Dog recover from this? But more importantly, do you think that 6 weeks, the newly announced release date for 6 weeks from today's date, is enough to quell the frustration and I guess disorientedness of the PlayStation fan base?
Yeah, I think to me 6 weeks is a long time. This is just happening.
Is it going to be grueling?
It might be, there's kind of like what you said. There are a couple of different arguments being made online about this. Some people who just wanted to experience the story for the first time and get that shot, get that wow factor, without getting it spoiled. You have people who are siding with the employees or employer that, and then you have people who just don't like what they're doing in the story, right? So we were talking, I was mentioning this to you guys before on the pre-show. News like this, we live in an age where any type of news spreads like wildfire. Yep. Whether it be good, bad. And to Sony's Sony can try to put this away as much as they can. It'll never go away. People are going to be talking about this until the game comes out. And even if you think about it, even when the game does come out, I think this topic will be brought back up, even if
Mm.
people forget for a couple of days or within the next few weeks it phases out. When the game finally releases and they have to do all the marketing and things like that, you can kind of foresee what some people, not, the trolls and everybody, they'll keep, bringing this up and showing the footage because, like I said, you can find it anywhere and you can, if you want to see it and if you want to find out any more information about it, you can. But yeah, man, 6 weeks, I think it's too long. There might be some some contractual obligations there behind the scenes that they have to meet, and they have to get their physical discs in order to be in these
Mhm.
stores and things like that. Yeah, but it's kind of tough, man, and kind of what everybody kind of mentioned here or alluded to here is what does that workplace have to be like to get someone to do something like that, right? And to literally spoil like the whole game, to just put it out there for probably one
It's
of the most
unprecedented
it's
behavior.
probably
I've
one
never
of the
seen
most
anything like it.
anticipated games like for a long time. And this year we've been talking about it. We even had on the show a few weeks ago. I remember you asking all of us if there was one game that was good that were to get delayed, which one would it be the worst one for it to get delayed again? And I know one of my options was The Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, man, I don't know. This was extremely shocking to see what was going on there, and it just sucks. It sucks for the gaming community. Before we used to have to invest our own time, and we would make the judgments for ourselves. I think me and Wilmy were talking about this earlier too. We would make the own judgments on our game. Right now, we let others judge games for us. Before you used to have to be invested. You would see, you'd see a game in a magazine, and then you do your own research and you follow up on that game. Now, news travels so fast that even if it's bad news like it is now, it travels even faster. So for the game to be spoiled, everything to be spoiled, people are, even if you're kind of like what happened to Tempest, even if you were semi interested on this game and he was willing to pick it up, now he has all the information that he needs before the game even comes out,
Right.
and he can make up his mind. So I think 6 weeks, it is a long time. I think they should just bite the bullet and release this, even if it's a digital sale first. Let it, if the people who are going to support it regardless. So I think they should just give the fans what they want. That's for them to play the game.
So let me. So the reason I don't think the 6 weeks, and when I was just thinking about what you guys were saying, what you were saying about the 6 weeks, is why they chose that time frame. The game was supposed to release on May 29th.
Yes.
Most states have stay-at-homes until at least May 15th.
15th, I believe it is.
15th.
Yeah.
I know there's some states that are till June 5th.
Wow.
Like I think it's Virginia, and there's a couple other states that like June 2nd, June 5th, stuff like that. You got to think if we go off why they're saying this was delayed because of logistical reasons, and they didn't have, and it's mostly around physical sales. Definitely, that's mostly what it's about. By the time China and all the different manufacturing plants just got their operations back up and running towards the end of last month, they're probably at a point where they know they can print enough discs to be able to get this game to satisfy the majority of the people that want it. But people don't realize is there is a huge spike in pre-orders within the last week of a game being out before it's picked up.
And you would know that for sure.
That's when most of the reserves for a game happen. Like basically most companies reserve pretty light in the beginning. And then as you get into the month of the game coming out, each week before, pre-orders ramp up more until you get to the week of, like literally the day of a pre-order. I would expect for like Last of Us, if the stores are fully open, you're talking about 100 pre-orders in one day at pretty much every store. on the day that the game comes out. And 90% of the time, you don't even have enough pre-orders in the store to cover all those pre-orders, but that's why they give you the metric that only 30% of the people on day one pick up pre-orders. Everybody else picks it up throughout the week. So by the time everybody comes into the store, picks up, you get another shipment into the stores. So you got to think they're trying to mitigate as much as possible by saying, okay, we could come out on the 29th still, but what does that look at retail if retail may only be back in certain states on the 15th? Is 2 weeks enough for us to get enough buzz around our game and pre-orders to get to those stores, or do we need more time? Well, most stores aren't going to open up on the 15th. Everybody should know this. When the states lift these laws and say you can go to wherever you want to go to, most people aren't going to be wanting to do it on day one. It's going to be
they will be afraid.
It's going to be a trickle out effect over the couple of weeks. And I think they're looking at by the 19th of June, most of the country will be at a point where you can just walk into a store, pre-order, and pick up a game. That's what I think is going on with that date in particular, because it's weird that it's just 3 weeks. You would think when they say indefinitely, you would think it'd be a little bit longer off down the road. But this just lets me know that they are at a point where they feel like they are comfortable enough to get enough games printed to cover all the pre-orders that are out in the world already now, and to be able to sustain that 2-week bump that you're going to get a bunch of pre-orders, because at the last minute, people that decide that they want to get the game are going to come into the store to get whatever things they want to get. And that's where I think that June 19th step fits in there. But ultimately, it really just comes down to how many people are going to be turned off by what they saw today. I don't think it's going to be a lot, but there will be people that says,
I don't know. The only reason why I think it might be more people than we think is because Sony's, let's say, first party games, kind of like what Tempa said, he wanted it because I agree with them. I think The Last of Us had a tremendous story, right? I love the story of that game. And once that story kind of gets spoiled for you, what else is there? Like, I'm sure The Last of Us will introduce, some more mechanics, and the gameplay is going to be, way more polished than the first one. But the reason why people were buying this game was to ultimately figure out how they were going to pull that story off again, because the story in the first one to me was phenomenal, right? And with that being spoiled, it's just like, will that same feeling be there, that same excitement be there? That's
not
why
for everybody.
Not for everybody, right?
But it goes back to what Tim said earlier. Let's go back and use the in-game reference again. Who in here, everybody here pretty much seen Endgame. Would you have not went to go see Endgame if you knew in the beginning that was true about Iron Man dying at the end?
No, I would have seen it anyway. Yeah,
of course.
And that is the point, because you could spoil, because at that point, like I said, that's why I kind of said it in what I was saying. I think at this point, the reason people are still going to go and buy the game is because now it's more of an allure of how we got to that. Now you know how the story ends because you've seen it. But how did we get to this point? How did we get from where we were in Last of Us 1 to what I saw in Last of Us 2, if you happen to get spoiled on it? And now it's about the journey, about how I got to that point. And most people that want to play the game, that's what they're going to do, because they were going to buy the game regardless. The hardcore people that want this game are going to buy it. Yeah. Now there's going to be people that says, man, I don't want to go see it because I already got spoiled. So those people weren't invested in the story like the people that played the game and the people that we talk to on Twitter that actually really care about it. Those people like Air Cuts for the Win and BG and all them, they're going to still play the game. They're still going to buy the game when it comes out, even though they're all disappointed. Kofi, same thing. They're all going to play the game. They're all going to buy it. But it's very disappointing that this happened, but let's not kid ourselves. If we knew Iron Man was dying the day before we went to go see the movie, it would suck, but guess what? We will still be in that movie theater the next day to see how it happened.
See, yeah, I know we got to get off this this topic, trust me, but like that your example there, you know, with Iron Man and stuff, like we knew it was probably Iron Man or Captain America.
Or Captain, yeah.
Well,
You know,
it was one of the two.
Yeah, well, it was 50-50. And also, you know, it's, yeah, I don't know. I'll just shut up about it. It's just, yeah, I see it as
Yeah,
different,
tough.
but I'll shut
tough
up.
to talk
in
about
general.
it, yeah.
It sucks in general that it happened. That's
Yeah,
basically all.
That's
just the end of it. Just sucks. Boom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, listen, let's move on to another meat and potato story that's probably going to cost us another 15 minutes, which is great because this has been a fantastic conversation. But let me catch up with some of the super chats. Eagles fan 76 drops a $2 and super chat and says this: "What might hurt is the sale of the PlayStation 5 upgrade weight." I don't necessarily know about that. I mean, it's going to sell. I just think that it's going to. The question is, how many PS5s is this part of the country going to get when there's such a worldwide studios and Bloomberg report says they're only doing 5 to 6 million all the way through March of 2021. It's definitely concerning. Good friend of the show, Spider-Man, drops a $5 super chat and says this Last of Us 2 leak is very unfortunate. Having said that, the hate being thrown to the story is very surprising. A lot of backlash heading towards Naughty Dog. Very true. Charles Paul drops a very generous $2 super chat and says this: wasn't Shuhei wasn't Shuhei just talking to an article about Ghost? You know what? If he was, I actually completely missed that. Make sure I got all the super chats because okay. So we're up to date. Okay, so
Hey,
you know what?
Can I mention one more thing?
Sure.
Kind of the only thing that I find not funny, but you know, funny in a way, is they had to delay this game indefinitely, right? And then to turn around and give a date so close, like to me, I was like, oh, what was really up? You know, like what was really up here? What were they doing?
Yeah, that's why I said what I said. It's mostly just because they want to make sure they get their money, and that's it. That's all this is about. Is getting.
It's a business. It's a completely business decision.
That's all. It was not. Look, Naughty Dog came out and said that the game was practically finished. They were fixing bugs. They just want to get their money, and the only way, and not just part of their money, not the 60 or 50 or 70% of digital that most people think it is. They want all their money, and the only way you're gonna get all your money is if you wait for the economy to come back in some way.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Listen, you know, I want to move on to an Xbox topic. I think we're going to all enjoy talking about because, quite frankly, going from the sadness of what happened at Naughty Dog to what is going on at Microsoft is the tale of two companies. And I said that earlier, where I feel one is headed down towards the basement, figuratively, of course, and one is heading to the penthouse. And the one heading to the penthouse, of course, is Microsoft. And in the story that I pulled from the pages of Windows Central, Jez Corden has been killing it. And he's famously known for not only being a friend of the show, but he is a part of the Xbox 2 partnership on Randall Thor's show weekly. And he had some very interesting things to say about the upcoming event. Now, Tim, we know that the event is happening. We just don't know when it happened. Now, we've been hearing May 5th. That's like the date. And we've heard that we could get some information, and it would make sense to announce it this week. I'm thinking that's going to happen tomorrow. I honestly believe that tomorrow at noon, again, I have no inside information, that information is going to be dropped along with something a little special. This is just my opinion on it. Tim, I'm interested to get your opinion on this because you see, again, one of the ways that Sony not only dominated this current generation with their games, the first party games are a tale all on itself, but it seemed as if whenever Microsoft would do a misstep, they would capitalize with the community and do something to highlight how great Sony was, and it would without doing it indirectly would make look how bad Microsoft is doing.
Yeah,
right.
They still do that. They do it with the controller.
They absolutely do that. There's no doubt. I mean, listen, they might have changed a lot of people, but they're still devious nonetheless. With that said, we knew about this event well before the Naughty Dog leak, right? It just so happens that this leak comes at a time where it doesn't seem like Sony could do anything right, and where Microsoft is hitting on all switches. Their engine is firing all 8 cylinders, and it's unbelievable. For you personally, a lot of people want to know what you are expecting at this event, because there's going to be 2 from what we understand. We know that there's one in May, and we know that there's one in June. Now, one in June, we're thinking maybe the middle, maybe the 12th or the 13th is what we're hearing.
I'm hearing summer now. I'm hearing summer.
Oh, you're hearing. Okay, so maybe it moved. Okay,
July.
so maybe
Let's go on.
No, so my point is, during the article that Jez wrote, and it was fabulous. I in fact, I read it twice. It was so good. The Xbox Series S, or AKA Lockhart, is supposed to make an appearance at this show. And we know that they have take-home units. They started taking home the units to test it in their Microsoft employee program, which basically says to me that this is real. And if they're taking it home, it means that it's probably going to be ready for launch this fall, which means they are going to do the 2 SKU drum I've been banging for almost a year now. What else are you expecting at this particular show, and how big do you think Microsoft should go with the information that has currently happened? Should they take advantage of Sony's misstep with Naughty Dog and The Last of Us 2?
All right. So with what you said, even today, even with the controller, like I said, they try to, plant that on inside Xbox, which I heard didn't make people at Xbox happy. But besides that, Sony is very, very reactive, or they're very, on top of what Microsoft is doing. And they've always been that way, because they're their competitor, and they look at Microsoft as their number one competitor. So, with that being said, the situation, from what I've heard, is fluid. So what that means is that there's kind of like this cat and mouse thing going on right now. They know that Sony's gonna react when they do this show. They're gonna have 2 shows, or the plan is to have 2 shows. One show is going to show Lockhart. Right. It's going to show a demo of a working game that I think that a lot of people have been asking for. And it's going to be a smaller type hardware reveal, and whether there's going to be a price, I don't know. The situation, though, I've heard is fluid, meaning that they're in this kind of cat and mouse game with Sony. They know Sony's going to react to that, and then they want to react. Basically, the first one to shoot on price is what's the holdup here right now. So that's the big thing. They both want to see where they're sitting on price. Sony really wants to see where Microsoft's sitting on price, and I think that they're willing to wait them out as long as they can. And it's an interesting situation. So that's what you have going on here. You got a little bit of a cat and mouse. That's why they've been quiet about it, and a little bit. I've heard. The last week I've heard summer is through the inner channels, summer is being, is going to be a blowout. So you're looking at E3 summer replacement, probably July, that first week in July. And we're going to get a plethora of games. There's going to be I think Phil even tweeted about it. They're going to show what we've all been asking for. And the biggest knock on Xbox is going to be a long, distant memory, because they're going to come with the heat. Yeah. So that's going to happen. Now, this is where it gets tricky. Sony's probably going to have an event in May or June, most likely May, or after this Lockhart reveal. So the Lockhart reveal, I think, is going to go. I just don't know when. I don't know if they're going to be a little coy with it, if they're going to wait 2 weeks. They'll probably announce it on a Friday, I would say, in my opinion, and then we would know what to be geared up. It's going to be a Monday or a Tuesday. A lot of people say the 5th was the rumored event, which possibly is true, but like I said, from what I've heard is that the situation is fluid, meaning that they can move it around, and they want to be
They seem to be, well, you know what seems to be the word that is floating around is agile.
Yes, exactly.
That is a word that continues to be touted by multiple people in the know for Microsoft, but more specifically, Phil Spencer himself, where they said that they were going to be agile on price.
Right.
And he's mentioned the word agile before. And I think that with everything, again, this is, Tim, you and I talked, we got a chance to meet at E3 2019. It was fantastic to meet you in person. And it was great to hang out with you as long as we did. Right. Rooftop parties in a hall, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one of the things as a fan of yours, being able to work with you for me is a dream come true, because I used to just sit on the other end of the and listen, let alone getting you on here. And I've heard years and years of disappointment in your voice from, being let down as a diehard Xbox fan, knowing the inside information, knowing Phil, talking to Aaron, getting to know Mike when he was there, Matt Booty. And now when I hear you in RDX, there's obviously things you can't tell us. And we completely understand that. But to hear your change of excitement in the back of your voice is exciting for me as someone who covers Xbox as well as the other ones, but Xbox being where I lay my head at home. For you personally, are you excited that they're finally going to get their just due after all of 7 years of misery?
Well, that's what I think we're all gaining for. That's what I think we're all looking for. I agree with you. I agree with everything you just said right there. And that's the thing. The just due, I think, is if they come out and they win MPD first month, and we have all these excuses, supply changes, and a couple of wins would be nice, because they need that. Otherwise, I think that they'll both sell very well. Sony's more powerful worldwide, so I think they're going to sell more. But I think Microsoft's put a pretty good. They've put it this way: they knocked it out of the ballpark, as being from what they put themselves in, and that was a really bad hole.
Yeah, it was.
And I even talked to somebody recently, said that they couldn't believe the share that they lost from this launch to now. It's like starting all over. So they put themselves in a real big rut. But with that little bit being said, they got themselves in a situation where they're in great position. You know what I mean? And I think that just going back to the fluidity and the ad part, they don't get caught in a position where they say, hey, this is the price, so-and-so. And Sony sees it and says, you know what? Let's freaking go for the gusto. This is our customer. We'll take $50 loss, $399 PS5, or if it's $499, $449. They don't want to be caught out there, because they have two consoles with two price points, and I think they have flexibility, as Phil alluded to there. So they just don't want to get caught out there and then ruin this whole entire run that they're on right now. I was joking around with Phil. I says, you're batting 1,000 with the rollout, because ever since, and I think that we all can agree, when that show happened, even at XO was great, but people were still like bashing it and, making fun of Grounded and, this and that. And there was still like, everyone thought the PlayStation 5 was going to be, craphead videos, the PlayStation 5 more powerful, everyone was going with that. But my friend crap. But, then in December, and I think that we all can remember as Xbox fans, when they dropped that was a significant fundamental change in not only the way I think that Xbox fans have felt, but even the way Xbox itself did business. And I think that really, from there, they've been rolling. It's like one of those things when you go on a hot streak. It's the game where you're down 3-0 to the bottom of the ninth, and you hit a grand slam to win. And then ever since then, they've been just winning their hits.
Yes.
And they want that momentum to keep on going. And I think they're in a position where they got Sony a little bit reeling right now. They know that, and they just want to finish the end game, which is obviously get the price out there, get the people excited. People are saying teraflops don't matter now. We're seeing all this.
It's such a ridiculous thing.
Yeah. It's such a different thing when the same people propped it up, and they did it too. And even the media was all behind it. 2013, that was all people talked about was teraflops, 1.8, 1.23, 1.9, or whatever suspend mode or whatever Xbox was at. It was put on such a premium, and now we're hearing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, I think we'll talk about the other stuff, but of course, the new CPU and an SSD that's much faster than it was previous generation is going to be a big step. But to be honest, to have the system that they're putting out there with the specs, it's freaking goddamn. It's goddamn impressive. And if anybody,
it caught Sony off guard. That is a confirmed fact.
100%, they caught Sony off guard, and that's why they went with Smart Shift. And that's why I've heard things in the inner channels that that they're not maybe having the best time with that, because they knew 12 versus 9.2 would be really freaking tragic. So they have the Smart Shift thing, and that kind of lessens the blow, but it's still a big gap. And you talk about bandwidth and everything in the specs, but yeah, like I said, they're on that hot streak, and I'm on a hot streak as an Xbox fan. Like, I think that we were all there, and it's just them that are they going to go in there and then blow the game at the bottom of the ninth in the in the championship game? You know what I mean? It's like it's still all rolling out. It still all can go a certain way. Like, I don't think we should be celebrating yet, or
no, they still have to show the games, and we know
they got to show the games. They got to show, and from what I'm hearing, everything is like really good. Like, I'm hearing Fable's freaking unbelievable.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm hearing the initiative. I mean, you look at and I'm just gonna cut myself short after this, or long, but you look at the developers that they've gotten,
dude. The amount you got to remember. To your point, Tim. I'm going to talk about this on Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast. They just got someone else from Naughty Dog. Like, they are leaving in droves. Now, listen, I would have to investigate this before I would talk off the side of my mouth, because I like doing my research. But it makes you wonder, just for a second here, folks. Just hear me out. It's not going to be a topic, but I will eventually address this, because I want to do some research on it. With everything we hear going on at Naughty Dog about the crunch culture and people hoping that the game is going to fail, they're hearing that it's Shangri-La and Microsoft. And is there a reason why so many big time, we're not talking about just a regular guy out of college that's leaving Naughty Dog to come work for Microsoft. We're talking project lead people to leave these positions working for Sony's first party to work for Microsoft. There is something there. What is there? I will eventually be able to tell you after writing this up. That's going to be the next thing. Wilmy Hood, I want to get you into the conversation here, because you are what I like to call the man around town when it comes to buying things. You're like King David. Price has no problem with you. And you have multiple Xboxes, you have multiple PS4s, you have multiple Switches. The Lockhart computers, among other things, Lancers, Freddy Krueger posters and stuff. You forget about it.
I've got a little bit of everything. Yeah,
sure, you absolutely do. But my point to this particular part of today's story is, not only do we know that Lockhart is real, because Jez Corden is someone not only do I trust, but the industry, the gamers trust him, because he never talks, again, out of the side of his mouth. The guy does his research. He does, he has a lot of connections. He obviously works at Windows Central. The Lockhart is the enigma here. And what's interesting is that I think that Microsoft, by having two different SKUs at launch, tells me something that doesn't scream for Sony's part of the conversation, because they said 5 to 6 million that they were going to use the PlayStation 4s to kind of get people to eventually buy a PS5, which means that they were only going to. I guarantee you, North America is probably getting 1.5 million PS5s, and spread that across the 52 states. Guess what, man? It is going to be. It's gonna be like PUBG out there trying to get a freaking PS5. Whereas I don't think the same thing for Microsoft. Now, this event that we're talking about is this again, it's a 2-tier SKU. It seems as if is working for Microsoft because it's going to be a 2-tiered event. We're getting a hardware event where we're going to see a couple of games, get the official specs of Lockhart. And then in June, we're going to get the big blowout. Now, I did get some information prior to minutes before I went live. Someone posted that the official PlayStation magazine is quoted in saying that Sony's reveal PS5 event is happening on June 2nd. Now, the reason why I didn't make it a topic is because it was a guy on Twitter. He has like 2,300 followers, and he's only following like 288 people. I've never heard of him. I'm not following him.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay, so you saw it as well.
Yeah, I saw it too.
I have to ask a couple of people behind the scenes that I know if there's any relevance to this before I make it a topic. If it is, it'll either be on tomorrow's show. I'll do a special 5th show of the week on Wednesday about it, or I'll do it on Friday's Breakfast with Boom. But we are going to be talking about it. But getting to you, Wilmy Hood, there's a lot that could go right at this event. I don't think there's anything that could go wrong for Microsoft because, quite frankly, they are doing everything. They are crossing every T and dotting every I. For you, for someone who looks at things from both a fan's perspective and also a business perspective, how big is this May digital event before the big one in June going to be for Microsoft?
It's going to be huge, and you'll still have people downplay it like Microsoft can't do anything correctly. They do everything wrong. We're actually starting to see that now because people are actually starting to blame the leak for The Last of Us 2 on Xbox fans.
No, please.
Yeah, which, I mean,
Tim, we just crossed 500. Can I get a year out of you, please?
Yeah!
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Now we're talking, brother. Thank you. We just
now
crossed
Cerny gets a
504.
picture of my ears because you just blew them. But
all right, continue your point, Wilmy.
It's a huge thing for Microsoft because they came out the door swinging, and I think I coined the phrase here on your podcast by calling it the Microsoft penis.
You certainly did.
By Phil Spencer. You know, they're not holding back this gen. I mean, they're not going to have another 2013. Like, you know, they're just not going to do it, and they're coming out full force. You know, both barrels blazing. They're just not going to take anything to chance. And Lockhart, I mean, Dealer has been saying this is going to happen for how many months now, Tim?
Oh, dude, he's almost a year, I think, right? Tim?
At least 6-7 months. I know for a fact because I've been on RDX and they've talked about it. And a lot of people kept, you know, calling Dealer out in RDX saying this was fake. This was fake. This was all a pipe dream. It wasn't going to happen. Well, guess what? It's happening. And I think it's pretty smart on Microsoft's behalf because of the simple fact they're wanting to target as many people as they can with Game Pass.
Yes.
Matter of fact, didn't they sign a contract today for their servers for Coca-Cola, was it?
Well, that's one of the big ones. I think they actually just signed it. They did a military, I think about 3 months ago. The U.S. military did that. It's crazy.
They did that huge deal with the Pentagon. It's like, what, 10.8 billion or some crazy number? You know, ridiculous. And now they've got Coca-Cola signed on, and you know, they just want people in the Game Pass. They want people in the ecosystem. That's what it's all about. It's not about console sales. Phil Spencer said that already.
Well, Sony said that. Sony said that recently.
Yeah,
so.
And you know, but in the beginning, for Sony, it was about console sales too. They wanted to have the most consoles sold, and that's what you always hear from the fanboys. You know, but the thing is, I'm not even sure. With the Lockhart, I've heard different stories. Some of them are saying it's going to be 4 teraflops or whatever. And then I saw one that says it may be up to 8.
As much as 8, 7.5 to 8 has been another rumor. A dealer has said specifically he believes it's 4, but just don't get hold up on the number because it's still more powerful than the current Xbox One X, which is of course the most powerful console.
Because of the architecture,
yes,
something inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do the whole spec thing. But, you know, the thing is, that's what they're after. They're going to come in with a cheaper version. I think that the Series X and the PS5 will be the same price. Unless,
yes, I mean, me too. I agree.
Phil Spencer already said they're not going to be beat on price or performance. That was his whole thing in the beginning. So I think they're going to be priced the same. And then Lockhart will come in $100 to $150 cheaper. And I'm not even sure if this thing's going to have a disk drive.
I don't think it is. I mean, listen, this is the picture that I pulled directly from Windows Central. As you can see, they had like a GameCube size, and I think
that's what I'm thinking.
That's what I think it's going to look like, and I hope that it does. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, there's also a reason why there's black and white logos. You know what I'm saying? Remember the trademark logos that leaked. One was black, and even though they both said X, I think that they did that specifically on purpose so they wouldn't give up the reveal of the S. I think the S is going to be in white. I think it's going to look just like this. It's going to look like a GameCube, and I think we already know what the Series X is going to look like, and it's going to be great if they do that because it's going to be able to distinguish the two. The grandmas coming into the GameStops once they get out of their apartments after the pandemic, will be able to say, yeah, my grandson says, yeah, he wants the black one, or he or she wants the white one because they don't care about the disc. They want to do everything digital.
Exactly. That's a good point. Maybe that is why they're doing it that way. And that's a good possibility. That's actually kind of smart if they do it that way. I don't see why it would need a disk drive.
Well, I'll tell you this real quick. I'll throw this out there. If anyone from Microsoft is looking for an older gentleman that wants to work in marketing, especially for Microsoft, I'm here. The DM is open. Business email is right there. Just email me, and I'll get that ticket to Seattle.
Nice. Hey, can I just say, Boom, that I'm a grown man, but I ain't afraid to say that Xbox Series S is cute as hell.
It certainly is, isn't it?
It's so cute.
Oh my god! And anything else you'd like to add about the digital event? How big do you look? And this is I'll pose this question to everybody, and I don't mind repeating myself. Wilmy, again, you are a businessman, and you understand that sometimes when you have the better business and there are other competitors out there, you have to push your stuff better than everyone else. With the stumble of The Last of Us 2 leak, and of course, and again, it's a bad look for the entire industry, not just Naughty Dog, not just Sony. It's a bad look in a whole. Do you think that Microsoft should capitalize on this by going maybe a little extra in this event to kind of really push the pedal to the floor?
I would, just for the simple fact, every chance that Sony had to take a stab at Microsoft, they did it.
Yes.
So why not stick the knife in and twist a little bit?
No,
I mean that's competition. They did it to Microsoft every chance they got last year.
Yeah, they did it from.
Oh yeah,
multiple times. I mean, they just did it. They just did it 2 hours before the Xbox event. You know, they put out the controller to try and take anything Microsoft is going to say or do away. So yeah,
see the bad part. There's so many, and it's not just on the PlayStation side. Xbox has them too. You know, there are so many lunatics in social media.
Yes, they are,
and they will gobble up anything and throw it in somebody's face. And, you know, like the whole controller thing, okay, you're excited. It's a controller. Yeah, I'll buy one. That's great. But does that make your console better? No. But if that's what you want to think, so be it. But, you know, I would. If I was Microsoft, while, you know, you had the chance, I'd capitalize on it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. You know, Cybernox, let's get you in on the conversation here. Let me just catch up on some of these super chats. Drunken Ninja drops a $2 super chat and says this. What is Project Oris? Did you talk about this? Yeah, I saw that's that was made by a company. That's not made by Microsoft. It looks dope. The console.
Yeah, it's a fan concept.
It's
thing,
a fan
I think.
concept. Yeah, it has nothing to do with Microsoft. It looks interesting, but it's not going to be what your Lockhart is going to look like. Your Lockhart's going to look like the white one I just shown. The Living Flame. Thanks so much for being here, dude. He drops a $2 super chat and says this: Tim, don't hype me with Fable. Don't do this to me. Yes, hype, because it's going to be big. And Harsh Reality drops an outstanding and very generous $10 super chat and says this: do you guys think that all the canceled pre-ordered Last of Us 2 collector's editions will be available again? You know, that's that. Listen, dude, first of all, I didn't order it because I did not like it. I buy every one of them. I was hoping for like an Ellie maybe hitting somebody with an axe or something, not playing the guitar.
Can I add to this? Be really cautious, anybody that has pre-ordered, and I know Forte works at GameStop. Back last year when Doom was able to be pre-ordered, I ordered 2 of the units. I was told they were canceled. They were going to refund me my money when the game had gotten, pushed out. Well, unbeknown to me, I actually found another one because I was under the impression I weren't going to get the first 2 that I had ordered. So all of a sudden, when Doom Eternal came out, a month ago, I got an email from GameStop goes, oh, hey, by the way, do you remember those 2 pre-orders we canceled? They just got mailed. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's how I wound up with 3 Doom Eternal collector's editions.
I would have returned 2 of them.
I wound up giving them away. I kept one and gave the other 2 away, but they will do that to you. They'll tell you they've been canceled, and next thing you know, they will be shipped to you and you'll be billed.
Well, I mean, listen, hopefully that's not in fact the case, because nobody wants to spend $600 on a game. And that's that's initially what you're going to do, because those collector's editions are expensive. But Cybernox, let's bring you into the conversation. Obviously, the May event is going to be announced this week. I'm thinking it's tomorrow. Other people are saying Thursday. I don't think it's going to be Friday. I think it's going to be Tuesday or Thursday, more specifically. I have no inside sources, but I think tomorrow is the day that Microsoft comes out, only because the official Xbox Twitter account said something about this week being big last week. And I'm still waiting for it, and I think that's going to be tomorrow. But for you personally, this is a 2-tiered event where they're going to, I'm assuming, save all of their major quote-unquote bangers for June. And I think we're going to get an onslaught of big games that we all know and have been asking for. But I think that this event in May is going to give us the hardware. It's going to give us the Lockhart. It's going to confirm it. The pricing of these consoles is coming in June. And if it turns out, or in July, if it turns out that this July 2nd event is in fact true for Sony, and they do announce the price, again, remember the word agile, Microsoft could really pull a Fugazi in June, end of June, and early July for their big event. What are you expecting from the smaller May event?
Well, see, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. I think that they should, because first impression is going to be everything. I think that they should have their big event in May, and give us not all of it, but a lot of the big news, most of the information that we're looking for right now, especially while everything that's going on against Sony right now, and just capitalize on it, kind of like what Wilmy alluded to. Microsoft has been knocking it out of the park ever since, the VGAs. So what am I expecting from this event? If you guys are a good source of information, so if this is gonna be just a smaller event, maybe they'll just I'm not sure if they're just gonna do maybe just hardware one event and then just games on another. Maybe this May event is just gonna be some of the more already known games, kind of like the Fables and maybe Forza, and maybe 1 or 2 unannounced games. Maybe we'll see Psychonauts there, things like that. And maybe that's where they'll reveal the Lockhart, But if it were me, I would just let it all hang out right in May.
Yeah.
Just drop it. You know what I mean? Put it all on the table. Don't be shy about it. just because, like I said, first impression is going to be everything. If they do an event now in May and another one in June, they're so close together that you can have some people say, hey, why didn't you just show me this back then? I understand that they want to hold off on price just because they're waiting on Sony. They're playing this game of chicken, which makes sense. I think kind of what you mentioned earlier, Microsoft staying very agile, comes directly from, the boss's mouth. So, they're ready to react to whatever Sony says. So maybe just, show us the hardware, show us some games. And then on the second event in June, give us maybe price and maybe a couple surprises here and there if they have a new IP or something like that. But I think this event, they should really wow everyone on this May event and then just, put the icing on the cake in June.
I mean, I agree. I think this is going to be. I think they know what's going on, and I think that they're setting the fans up to be really wowed. And you said first impressions. You got to remember, they were killed in 2013. They just decimated by this is how you trade games, right? So I mean, there was basically the generation was over since then. Almost. Yep. I mean, you can equate to that. I mean, it was a real big gut punch.
I mean, I don't think a situation like that will ever occur again.
No,
where it was like
no.
It was a perfect storm for
was.
Sony. You know what I mean? Sony just had everything lined up for them. They were like, oh, they're giving us this, they're giving us that, and then Microsoft
it's funny
technically did it to themselves.
It's funny you should say that though, because if you look at what's going on right now, it's turning out to be a perfect storm for Microsoft and a shitstorm for Sony.
Yep.
So we're definitely going to see. Let me catch up on these super chats. I'm going to bring Tempest Sun into the conversation. Gamer by Choice drops a $5 and very generous super chat. Says this: I am so glad the Xbox seems all in on gaming this generation. They don't have to win the console war. Just show me their best. And I agree with that. And I think they're gonna do just more than that. And Mariano Prompa, thank you so much for being here, dude. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says this: great to be able to put a face with the voice and Twitter memes, Wilmy. My question, what if Series X comes out more expensive than the PS5 due to the Lockhart? Does this change the momentum that Microsoft has? Listen, I'm going to tell you why. If Phil Spencer wouldn't have come out during that interview and clearly and plain as day said, when they asked about price, he said, we will remain agile on price, meaning that, as we know, right, from the Bloomberg report, it's currently costing Sony anywhere between $450. We've heard another report where it's upwards as $475 per PS5s, and they're going to want to make a profit, right? They're not going to take a loss. Microsoft, their console is coming in anywhere between $505 and $521 is what I've heard. And at this point, if you add marketing, packaging, and shipping, you can add another 50, 60, anywhere between 50 and $65 to that, right? So who is in a better position to eat the cost to win? Again, you have to lose to win mentality. Microsoft, not Sony. So Sony isn't going to want to give back to fans and say, okay, fandom, $399 PS5 with everything in there. Folks, I'm sorry to say it's not going to happen. And could it launch at $450? Sure. Is it going to? No, it's not. It's going to launch at $499.99. It's going to be $500, and Microsoft's Better Box is going to come in at $500. And if the Lockhart is true, and we believe it is, and it comes in at $299, like I had priced in my picture that I got from Windows Central, Microsoft is going to push Sony's back to the wall, and they're going to have beaten them in power and price from the jump start. And again, taking nothing away from The Last of Us 2, taking nothing away from the Ghost of Tsushima. That's the old guard, folks. That's going to be on your PlayStation 4. Now we have to start talking current. When these systems come out, it's not going to be about the 110 million, because guess what? The numbers start at 0. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be interesting to see how Sony responds with their first party, because as we know, they're still hiring for all their major first parties. As a matter of fact, God of War, I pulled a story that I'm going to talk about on Friday. They're looking for someone to write the story for God of War 2. So that game is 3 years out. The closest one is probably the last, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, which I'm going to be talking about on tomorrow's show, which I'm very hyped for. So right now, it seems Microsoft is in the winning chair. But again, they have to show the games, and they're going to do that. But Tempest Sun, let me bring you in. This May event is turning. It could potentially turn out to be part of the winning hand for Microsoft, because obviously they have been showing stuff in waves since December 12th, and it's been an onslaught ever since. And again, I'm not the kind of person that kicks a dog when they're down. That's just not my mentality. But I'm also not a businessman. But I'm going to be honest with you. If I were Phil Spencer, seeing how there is raging disappointment currently going on, not only because The Last of Us 2, one of the biggest games, has been ruined by an asshole, but the people are now mad at Naughty Dog for why this happened. Now, again, I'm not going to get into the particulars of should he have done it because they owed him money. I'm not going to get into that into those weeds. I am going to say that right now, Sony is in turmoil all over the place. They're bleeding from every orifice you could possibly imagine. Now this is the May event is next week, and Microsoft could have gone in, moderately, ready for it by showing Lockhart, give us Fable. But if it's me, I say, you know what? Let's turn this bitch up to 11 and let's let it all hang out, like Cybernox says, and give a little extra. Maybe take something off of the docket from June's event to kind of put the screws to them. What are you expecting from this event?
I actually fully agree with Cybernox. I would rather just see an onslaught of games. Finding out that there's going to be a cheaper, more accessible console later on in the game. I mean, I don't see why we need to have that information right this second. I mean, I could be wrong on that. Maybe Forte can speak more on that and getting the messaging out earlier. I don't know, but I feel like if they do just do this May reveal and say they show off the Series S and it's the weaker console, all that stuff. Since I agree with Cyber, they need to show something, and like, how do I say it?
They need a couple of exclamation points at the end of this conversation is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And, what they could do is, honest to goodness, I from a graphical standpoint, from a tech showcase, some people are leery about 343's story capabilities, if you will, from the last game, but they had a killer story in 4, but that's beside the point. I think if you really want to show what the new consoles are capable of, I feel like you really only need to bring one thing to the table that just seriously wows people. And I think they do like a deep dive in the tech of Halo Infinite, and you can do that with the Series X, and then just after the fact say, hey, we also have this, and then maybe show how they might differ. I don't know, that might make the Series S seem weaker, but it is a cheaper box, and it'll still be a very capable device. But I feel like they could do this May event, show off one thing that's truly going to wow people, because it is like a hardware event. So I don't think they're just solely going to focus on the Series S. I don't think that.
No, we're hearing Fable is going to be shown off, dude.
Oh, well, they gotta show something. Whew.
Yeah, well, to me, I mean, Halo Infinite, because I mean, we've only seen cutscenes. I can't even imagine how phenomenal this game is going to look. Like, honestly,
it's going to look amazing, dude. I cannot wait.
I think Halo Infinite's enough, but you just had on the Xbox Factory, you were showing off the screenshots of the environment of what could be Fable, and if that's the case, man, I just, my God, I can't even. What's interesting to me? This is all connected, but I was playing Final Fantasy last night, and it's so funny to me, as good as the character models look in that game, when they finally get to an actual cutscene, like a pre-rendered graphics, instead of just using the in-game engine, there is still such a difference in the graphics. And I told my wife, I was like, man, you know what? Seeing this pre-rendered cutscene, something that they actually, constructed by hand, not using the game engine, looks so much better. And I said, I hope like this is actually more in line of what we're going to get this generation. And that's what I need to see. I need to see something like the Hellblade 2 trailer that some people were questioning was real.
Which was nonsense. It was complete nonsense. Ridiculous.
Oh, I know. I mean, and we pretty much have proof now that it is nonsense, that it is real because of the tech and how things are going to work. I mean, if you listen to the Digital Foundry breakdown, Alex Patelli, I think his name is, he was like, "How is this possible?" Well, he's came out since then and said, "Oh, that's how it's possible. Velocity, architecture, and all this stuff."
He was a little bullish.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta admit, I love it.
Yeah, so it's like that's how it's possible. So I mean, we just need to see more of that. I want to see Fable. I really, really, really do. Trust me, I want to see Fable. But I feel like because we know for a fact Halo Infinite's coming, well, at least we think for a fact it's coming this year, I feel like they could do a deep dive on that. You're not going to get a deep dive on Fable. You're going to get a trailer. And that'll tell us a lot. But being able to say, hey, this is what it looks like with ray tracing at 60 frames per second, whatever it is they happen to do. I mean, it's also their new engine that they spent all that money on. It's
$500 million.
Exactly. So like I personally, even though I want to see Fable more because I'm more interested and I love the Fable series, we're just going to get a trailer. Halo Infinite, I feel like we might actually get
gameplay.
I think we're going to get gameplay out of Fable too.
Really? Wow. I see. Yeah. I hope you're right, man. Trust me. I really hope you're right. Who knows? Maybe that game is way further in development than we think it is. I mean, I know my man Tim Dog here might know that, but
Hey, Tim, real quick. We're breaking some records tonight. We crossed 600 watching live.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Gaming Forte, let's bring you back into the conversation. I saved you for last because I want you to approach this from a business perspective, working for GameStop. Now, Tempest Son brought up a fantastic point. And he asked the question of whether or not it was important to get the Lockhart out, get out in front of the Lockhart, the cheaper model for next generation. I believe it is paramount that at this May event they show it simply because of the climate they're in, they could take advantage and say, listen, we understand that people may want to upgrade and that the more powerful $500 box might be out of people's price range because of the current situation. But we're going to offer you, we have another console that's just as capable, more powerful than the current Xbox One X, which if they sell it like that is going to excite people and say, wait a second. They're releasing two consoles and they're both more powerful than what they have now, and one's 3 and one's 5. For you at this May event, what are you expecting? But more importantly, is it important for Lockhart to be there?
It's very important. The reason it's important is the simple fact that as of right now, if you look at when you look at the retail setting, there's no systems to buy at all. Everything is pretty much sold out everywhere due to everything's going on. Microsoft was already in the process of basically auctioning off all of their systems and stuff. I mean, you can get an X as low as $200 at certain points.
Yeah,
crazy.
So they were trying to get rid of their stock as fast as possible, and this freaking pandemic helped do that. But the ultimate thing is why they need to do it is because if you don't have an alternative for people to buy, what are they going to buy this holiday? It doesn't look like the X is going to be a thing because, like I said, they already started giving those things away.
Yep.
The S, if you're not going to have the S, then what is people going to buy at the lower end? The reason I think this thing is really going to happen is just the simple fact that, like I said, X's are not available. I was a firm believer that the X should have been an entry model for all the systems, just because I feel like they didn't even get everything out of that system. That system still has a lot left to give. But Microsoft, if they're going the whole two system route, that will be even better of a way to actually do it. The biggest thing is when it comes to the reason they need to get out in front of it early is because, once again, like I said with Last of Us, pre-orders, like Microsoft wants to know how many of these we need to manufacture in a short amount of time. If we have a deadline saying we need to get 10 million of them out there, how are we going to actually do that? Well, the only way you're going to know that is by letting people know that it's a thing, and then open up pre-orders for people to start pre-ordering it. Then you have a chance to actually develop and make all of these, well, not develop, but actually manufacture all of these systems for people to buy. I think the faster they do that, the more impact it will have on their bottom line when it comes to the games, not the games, but the systems that they put out into market. They're going now. The S is the weird one because we don't know how many of the hardcore. Some hardcore, I know you're getting both.
I'm buying both. I've already said that publicly. Yeah.
Me personally, I'm only getting the Series X just for the simple fact that I'm getting that Cyberpunk system whenever that releases. I'm trading. I have 2 X's now. One of those X's was going to get traded in towards the new one, but when I saw the Cyberpunk system, I'm like, well, shoot, I'm gonna get
that's what I'm gonna trade my Scorpio edition,
man, like kind of
the Cyberpunk. Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna do, but I don't know how many people of the hardcore are gonna do that. So you kind of sit there and say, well, we know the X is gonna sell out no matter what. That's as many as they produce, that's how many are gonna be out there in the wild for picking up. But they also want to make sure that they have at least the S if the X is going to be sold out, because we all know Microsoft really doesn't care about system sales as much, because think about it, the Elite controller Series 2, I haven't seen one of those in a store. I think I've seen a total of 5 in my store. Or
dude,
6,
it's sold out everywhere.
Sold out everywhere. Even before the pandemic, you couldn't find this freaking controller. So it is just like the original controller when it came out. For 6-7 months, you couldn't find it until Microsoft finally caught up with manufacturing to get more out in the ecosystem. That's because it was a high-end item that most people aren't going to buy. Same thing, it comes with the new X when it comes out. So the S is in a really, really peculiar situation. The longer you wait, the more people don't know about it, and they're willing to not, and they're not going to have the money and the funds together by the time that you release this thing to actually get them in the ecosystem. But if you start talking about it now, start drumming up that excitement now, a lot of people can start planning on what they're going to end up doing with that second Trump check that they're probably going to get at the end of June, probably. Because I think that, because trust me, I think that second check is coming, because this country's not going to recover as fast as people think it is.
No, they have to stimulate
they're going to stimulate this country again one more time before it's all said and done. But I just think the faster they get this information out there, the more they'll reap the rewards of just talking about it. And it just comes back down to retail. That's why retail is so important, because you can't just digitally give somebody a system. It's not Google Stadia. You know, this is something that you have to go somewhere, either Amazon, Best Buy, GameStop, wherever you want to go. You got to go somewhere to either pre-order it and have it sent to you or pick it up at a store. And the longer they wait, the more time they have of wasting the people that are on the fence about saying, hey, I already have an Xbox. Why should I get this next one? Well, if you go out there in May and blow the doors off and show people what this thing is capable of and how it's even more powerful than your X that has 2 more teraflops probably, that will do it right there, because I think it's an allure that they need to really push on. And right now they have all the cards in their hands. Sony basically has one system to show people, and they're sitting right in the middle. And I think Sony is going to play the very, very long game, where Microsoft needs to play fast and loose and make sure that they get as much of the market share as they can as possible up front, because we know Sony is going to sell worldwide more than Xbox. You want to get Xboxes in people's houses before they decide they want to pick up that next PlayStation, because they will pick it up, but make them choose Xbox before it actually happens.
No, you mentioned, sorry, Boom. I was just gonna say something. You mentioned when they were trying to roll out the X. I was trying to get that Gears 5, the white console.
Yeah.
For $2. That thing is sold out everywhere. Bro. That console is so beautiful, so beautiful. And I was trying to get it everywhere, and it was sold out. I was just heartbroken. But I also think that the Series S is gonna be a lot cheaper than people expect. I think they want to make a big statement. I think a lot of us are thinking $299.
Well, big
I'm-
safe would be $199.
I'm not sure about 199. I was thinking like 250. That's what I was
gonna
thinking.
say 250, but I'm so it's like 250 is a good price, but it's like anything that ends in 50, I just never am sure. About.
Yeah,
I just
agree.
think they want to make a big statement
Because
compared
I
to what
think
Sony's
about
going to come out with.
the only system I know that did well starting at 250 was the 3DS, and even that had to drop $50 in price before
it had to go down to 199. Yeah.
I just think they want people to look at the price and not even think about choosing based on the price. They're just going to look at it and be like, oh, this plays the game. Oh, it's $150 cheaper. Yeah, I'll go with this one.
Look, if
because
it's
$100, people can make an argument for it.
It doesn't even have to be. It just has to be the cheapest option. That's it.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's 250.
If there are two boxes that are 500 and there's one that's 3, people are going to gravitate to the 3. I'm sorry.
Most people are going to gravitate to the lower denominator, because think about these new systems, the X and the Pro, they didn't sell and like officially really, really take off until you started seeing $399, $299. I mean, Pros $250, I think was the absolute lowest it went to. Then you started seeing pretty much that just take over the narrative when it comes to sales themselves. Just think Nintendo has done marketably well selling a Switch at $300, but look, the Switch Lite literally can't even hook it up to your TV. It sells even more at $100 cheaper.
It's Nintendo products are wild, man.
So everybody needs to take that type of thought process. Don't worry about what your competitor's price is, and I think that's why Sony is playing such a long game with Microsoft on that price point, because they know how important it is to either match that price or come underneath it. I think they're going to lean on the fact that they think their brand is so much stronger in gaming than Microsoft with that worldwide appeal that is not going to hurt them at the same price. But trust me, they would love to hear Microsoft say that system is $100 more than them. And if they can make it happen, they will. I just don't know if they're willing to eat the $50 it would take to do it. And if they're not, they'll still be good, but we'll be looking at more of an 8th gen situation instead of how this 9th gen went down with them blowing the doors off of it from the beginning. It will be more of a close fight all the way to the end like it was then.
Yeah, no, real quick. I want to move on to the next topic. It was supposed to be a big one, but I'm going to scale it back because we only have about 20 minutes left of the show. I just want to catch up on some of the super chats. Titan 2793 drops an outstanding super sticker for $3. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Titan, and once again, Titan 2793 drops a $5 super chat and says this show is running on all cylinders. Hit that like button. Today's grandmas are in their 40s, so they know which game system to buy Series X. I love it. That's great. That's true. Grandmas are much younger than they were when we were growing up. So listen, I'm going to bring in Tim. Tim, the second part of today's Xbox topics was the other Windows Central blowout. Now, Jez Corden has been, killing it with his articles and his insight and his connections to everything Xbox. And even though I have everything written down, you guys saw my show notes, they are ridiculously long. I just want to kind of, I want to just breeze through this. Now, we have heard in this very active community in the last, 6 to 8 months about how former developers of the Sony brand know that the PlayStation 5 is the better console because they said so. And, we know that Reddit and 4chan were all running with these ridiculous things. And it turns out that it's not, in fact, the case. We know that who has the more powerful console. But it wasn't just that. Recently, in this Windows Central blowout, Jez Corden had the chance to interview quite a few of the development community, and they had high praises for the Xbox Series X. One particular one, I just want to, I'll throw this out there. Joel Baker, technical director of Hinterland Games. He says this: the most exciting thing for me is the addition of an SSD and the custom hardware surrounding it to help get data into memory faster. This is not only going to allow for better streaming and load times, but also make it easier to work with larger data sets that don't easily fit into memory. The addition of the hardware ray tracing is also super exciting, but it's also how it can be used outside of the graphics that will be enabled in the biggest changes. Let's see. Carl, director of technology at Moon Studios, says this: playing games at a high refresh rate at those crazy resolutions is the next big thing for gaming. Anyone that played Ori and the Will of the Wisps in high resolution in 120 hertz will know what I mean. Previously, this was the only thing that this is something you could only find on PCs, and enthusiasts took advantage of this. And in order to do this, they had to spend thousands of dollars on their machines to be able to experience this. Bringing this kind of performance and quality to the general public is very exciting to me, and I think that it will be the true next-gen leap that we've all been waiting for. Now, that's just a snippet, and you yourself, you guys talked about it on RDX. How impressed are you for someone that has been so close to the, I guess, to the to everything Microsoft? This with what we're going to get as hardcore gamers, but what the development community is getting on a system to work with, Tim.
Well, when we're talking about the Xbox Series X, you have not only do you have unbelievable, powerful specs, you also have the Xbox Velocity architecture that people, I think, were kind of dismissing because that was the one area that Sony had an edge on Xbox. But the fact of the matter is that Sony's a Lamborghini that's souped up, and Xbox is not far behind. Both game changers in technology. It's much faster than the whatever. I think it's 100 megabit or 500 megabit. You're talking about you're 5 times in the speed of the way assets are loaded in right now, and on top of that, they have technology like BC Pack on Xbox. That's going to further thing more. I think the throughput of compression on the SSD is 6 gigabit. So what you have with Xbox, though, I think you have the power, the spec. You have the software tools, DLI, VRS, machine learning, RDNA technologies that are confirmed, that are not confirmed anywhere else, just for Xbox right now.
You have the DirectX Ultimate.
Right, you have the DirectX 12 Ultimate, the ray tracing. As far as a console that encompasses everything, this is the grandiose best console I think pretty much ever made as far as a technical standpoint. I think it's pretty hard to argue. The CPU is worlds above what we started off last gen. The speed of the SSD is never seen before. Phil talked about how this generation is going to be the jump from 2D to 3D in the way we feel games. We're going to be playing games on Sony and Xbox at 120 frames per second. You're going to have technology such as DLI on your controller, where you're going to basically have no input on your on your controller. Everything is going to feel right at your hands. 4K 60 for majority of the games, whether it's native 4K or in some instances, I'm sure they're going to have some checkerboarding. But at this point, checkerboarding is getting to the point where it's actually getting very close to native. It's actually very improved from when it first came out. So if a game is 1800 checkerboarding on X and 14 or 16p on PS5, it's not the end of the world. You're pretty much getting close to a 4K image as you can, but on top of that, you're getting really high frames. You're going to see games like Ori running 120. So this is the unveiling of probably the best console ever engineered, software engineered, hardware engineered ever. And I think they nailed it out of the ballpark. I think we all asked for it. If we asked for this, I don't think that if people told us last year that we're going to be comparable to a 2080 Super, and
you would laugh at them. You would have laughed at them.
You would have said you're a joke. Get away. And not only that, like I said, they also have the software implementation. Xbox is like you said, Ultimate DirectX 12 VRS, the Ultimate DirectX 12, the
AI
ray
HDR
tracing.
is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Oof.
right. Yeah, they have all that type of stuff that's built into this. Stuff like VRS is just second nature now with the 2.1 technology for HDMI. It's gonna be, when you plug this thing in, you're in for a treat. It's gonna be freaking super fast. I don't think people are gonna be complaining about the UI lagging anymore. You're talking about a much faster system.
This is a monster machine, dude. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think if we all asked for this in our dreams, we would have said yeah, but I don't think anybody would think that it would actually come true. I can always remember the day when I told Dealer, I said, listen, they're targeting 12 teraflops, and this is before anybody knew. And he's like, no way. He's like, are you sure it's RDNA? And he kept saying that to me. He's like, are you sure it's RDNA? He's like, this is we have to get this information right. And I had like literally sourced 4 people, and everyone was in shock, first of all, on that. So
yeah.
Even when that information came out, the forums changed. I remember the 13.3 and all these things changed, because up to that point, people thought 10 teraflops at most. So what Xbox did here is they took a metric and they said, you know what? Let's just overindulge on it. Let's just say, let's give the fans something that they never had, and they got 12 teraflops of RDNA 2 technology, GPU, something that's not in the market right now, or it's just coming right into the market. You're going to have it in your house at the end of the year, it's going to be a huge treat. I think that, like I said, we're really in a really good position here. This console, they knocked it out of the ballpark from everything. You compare it to PS5, and people don't like to hear it, but it's pretty sizable lead when you talk about bandwidth and you talk about even
there's Wilmy Hood with his thumbs up. Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It's, if you're gonna be honest about it, it's a sizable difference. Stable clocks.
Yes, that's the key thing, is the stable, not having to overclock anything is huge, dude. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, people, the stupidity that you see, like, oh well, Cerny said that you want to, it'll just heat the chip throughout the thing, and it won't heat anything. That when you put speed on it and when you put like that, it's gonna have to dissipate heat. So those types of numbers, and then the smart shift. All I know is, listen, let's put us in the Xbox situation. Would people give Xbox the benefit of the doubt if they said we're hitting 12 teraflops by hitting smart shift? What would people say if that was when Xbox unveiled its console and 12 teraflops was hidden via variable frequency? What would the internet be like? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Xbox are trash.
Yeah,
exactly. Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. I love it. That's great. Oh man, we're packed with masks today. We had Master Chief. We've had Wilmy Hood wear the I think it's the 94 helmet from Fallout 76. We have had the Fallout mask. This has been a show of packed with guests. But Wilmy Hood, I want to bring you back in the conversation here. Jason Ronald, the director of program management for Xbox, kind of really just he basically started and stopped the conversation when it came to power. And he said this: we knew with the next generation of Xbox, we needed to rethink and revolutionize the traditional console architecture to deliver consistent, reliable, and sustained performance never before seen in the living room with no compromises. This became the foundation for the Xbox Velocity architecture, which comprises of our custom-designed NVMe SSD, a custom he got it stuck on, a custom dedicated hardware decompression block, our new direct storage API, which provides developers with direct low-level access to the NVMe controller, and our innovation sampler feedback streaming solution, which acts as a multiplier of the physical memory in the console. This is again, it's a lot of tech talk that may go over a lot of people's head. Thank you for listening to RDX. At least I thank them for listening, because I've learned so much listening to Dealer, Colt, Tim Dog, and everybody. Tempest Son, let me bring you into conversation on this with what Jason Ronald had to say. How impressed are you with what's going into this box?
So this console is going to curb stomp my PC that I have right next to me,
and you're a PC guy, so to speak. So,
well, I mean, I spent $1,800. I've built PCs before, didn't feel like doing it this time. Honestly, it was a good price. I have it's a 1080, it's not a 2080, but yeah, like you can call it what it is. Like, my PC right now is probably more beefy than the typical PC, like the baseline that the people would be developing for. And this Series X is going to kick this one's teeth in. Like, I don't know what to say. And then when you really compare it, it's kind of silly. This was $1,800 when I bought it, only like a year and a half ago or whatever it is. And as you're looking at a $500 console, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. It goes to show you how far we've come with technology. And it's exciting. We haven't had new features that quote unquote PC hasn't had since the start of the 360 generation. When the 360 came out, it was actually doing some things that were like legitimately kind of hard for PC to pull off when it very first came out. And unless you want to go out and spend $1,200 on a 2080 Ti right now, you're like a 2080 Super. Like, come on, dude. Like, that card alone is worth more than the entire system.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is unheard of, and I'm just sick and tired of waiting, bro. Like, I'm on
you want November now.
Yeah. Well, I want November now. And it's kind of funny when you send us the DMs and we get the topics. You've been saying I'm hoping for a surprise announcement, from Microsoft, from Phil Spencer, because it's Monday. And just the thought that we've had random drops quite a few Mondays now with phenomenal information is just exciting. I mean, we're pretty much spoiled at this point. The fact that we feel like
certainly are. Yeah, we definitely are spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're sitting here just like waiting, like it's a dreadful wait for this May event. But we've had like content drops, like more so than I ever
strong
imagined.
With Gaming Forte.
I see that. It's very nice. I told him on the private chat thing, I want his hat. Is that a hat or a beanie, Forte?
It might be it's a hat.
It's a hat. I need some. Yeah, it's a hat. Okay, I need that.
I love this hat.
That's awesome. But
Wilmy Hood, you've been. He's got the band hammer now. This is what he uses. This is what he uses to block people on Twitter.
Yeah,
his block game is strong.
It's amazing.
You know what, Gaming Forte? Let's bring in, because obviously we're past the 2-hour mark. I kind of want to just close out this topic and get everybody out of here. First of all, I want to thank the 705 record-breaking people to show up to tonight's show. My God, this is unbelievable. I hope that you guys and gals have been having a great time. But Forte, listen, I could go into, I have about 7 different quotes, and I don't think I need to go into it. Like, there is a lot packed into the system, and apparently the real development community, meaning that people that are actually willing to come out and sit down with a Jez Corden and have an interview and not go on to stupid forums and pretend or at least say that they worked for Sony and that it's the better box. We're getting confirmation that this is the better box. For you personally, how impressed were you with this article?
I was really impressed with it. Overall, I just think the conversation is they're keeping the conversation going in the direction it needs to go in. The more and more they do, and the more they say, the more confident the player base and the community at large is happy with the direction they're going in. It's a far cry from where we were not even a year ago to this day. It's hard to believe that literally all this stuff changed like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
6 months ago, the whole narrative flipped and changed, and I'm just super excited to be able to talk about the things that we're talking about. I'm glad that we're getting closer and closer to actually knowing what we're actually going to be playing on this holiday and this fall. The biggest thing is these new systems are going to challenge pretty much everybody's PC to an extent. Even my PC's not safe, and I have a really good PC.
It's not safe.
Amateurs.
Look at this thing. It's lit. It's lighting up. That's a 1080 Ti in there. It's beautiful. I don't know, man. It's crazy, but just to know that in a small form factor, I'm just excited. I was one of those people that was super like unimpressed throughout the generation. And I was like, the only reason I have an Xbox is to play with my friends. And that is the main reason that I own an Xbox. You know, the games became kind of a secondary thing to me.
That's a nice setup.
Oh Lord, look at you trying to show off. Look at that. That's a diamond. Is that a fat head?
Is that what we're going to do?
A fat head on your wall?
Oh yeah, I've got Jason, I've got Freddie,
you know how much those
I've
fat
got
heads
Billy, I've got Billy from Saw. I've got them.
I love it.
Look at you. Okay, I can't compete with you on that. But yeah, I can't. Maybe I'll get Tom Brady and put him on a wall. Should I do it in a bucket?
I was showing you the Origin PC. You were showing PCs. I want to show you a PC.
Oh no. See, no, $4,000, $5,000 plus. No. That's how much Origin PCs cost. Oh, 6, 7?
Yep.
Yeah, they sell them at that price too. Dual GPUs and everything. But yeah, so I'm excited. Basically at this point, I'm done just being excited about what they're talking about. I just want to see. I want action at this point now.
Yeah. At this point, we want action
in my life. I need to see and not hear. And I know for a lot of people just, you know, they love eating up the conversation that is being had in different articles, what Phil Spencer says. You know, I think Phil Spencer gets a bad rap because he says certain things that people feel like he went back on, but that's just corporate America. Some things don't shake out the way you want them to shake out, and you kind of got to roll stuff back, but that doesn't mean that man hasn't given you everything that you kind of want from this system. And the last thing on his checklist is games. And if the games are there, we are 100% set for next generation.
Conversation is over.
Conversation's over. Microsoft and Sony are fighting at. That's the one thing I'm excited for. They're not at a disadvantage as of right now. Right now, they pull within a tie of Sony right now. Now, let's see if they can take that next step to get developers to want the Xbox to be the premier platform. And that's going to be something that's going to be dictated over the first 6 months to a year of the new system coming out. And if Microsoft really wants to do something when it comes to market share and really gather a little bit of that back, because Game Pass is one thing. They are going to ratchet up with Game Pass, and that's going to help them out truly a lot. But console sales are what people care about the most when it comes to who wins and loses this. And if Microsoft cares about that at all, they need to put their best foot forward. They need to go after these third-party and second-party exclusives. They need to get back to the drawing board of what Donnie D used to do back in the day. We're not trying to say he needs to be Donnie D. He don't need to be Donnie D. We don't want him to be Donnie D. For you, it's, you know, if you're on the submarine, we don't need that guy. We don't need that guy. We just need Phil Spencer to be the leader that he has been throughout the entire generation, steadfast and true, and just turn up the dial when he needs to turn it up, because like my man King David always says, who gave all this to you?
Phil Spencer. Phil Dominus Maximus.
He is Phil Dominus Spencer, or he will be Aurelius in
Aurelius
the
is coming
David.
soon, yes.
By the end of this, he will be Aurelius Spencer. So I think they're moving in a great direction, guys. I'm just excited to see what's coming up next. Next week can't come fast enough for us, and what's going to happen after that, who knows, but I'm along for the ride all the way through.
Nah, that's a great point. Cybernox, let's get you in here, and then we'll have Wilmy close out the show with what he has to say, because I'm interested to hear his opinion. Cybernox, with all of these developers sitting down for this interview and having literally rave reviews, it basically puts the stamp that it's no longer just, you know, back alley tech talk. Like these guys and gals are going to be making the games that we play, and they are unbelievably impressed with what is under the hood. For you, does that make you happy as an Xbox gamer?
Oh well, 100% boom. And you can tell by the tech already, the specs that they have announced that it's an unbelievable machine. I think everybody here mentioned it once or twice. It's gonna rival some of our existing PCs that we built a year or two ago. It's definitely gonna blow my PC away. The only thing that I have that's over the Series X is more RAM. I got 32 gigs of RAM on mine. That's pretty much it. But everything else, it's got me beat.
Mhm.
So man, and the one thing that I can't wait for people to experience, because console players tend to just most a lot of the casuals and stuff, or even some of the hardcore that only play on consoles, they play in 30 frames. I just want people to start experiencing higher frame rates
Yeah,
with
60, 70,
yeah, 60,
90. Yeah.
70, exactly, but with the graphical fidelity that you can truly admire the game. you know Uh, I'm just excited for it, and all these developers talking about how impressed they are with it, and how can you not be? They have all this new technology. Tim Dog went very in depth with it. They have so much that they're offering, and a lot of these resources is already all done by Microsoft. Some of the
Yes.
developers don't even have to do anything.
No.
So man, I just can't wait for it. Just like everybody here in the panel, I want us to see these games. I
I
want to
want the system
see
under my console already.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just ready for it.
That's a great point. And Wilney Hood, first of all, thanks so much for being here. You are obviously a laugh riot today because you put on a lot of hats. But I saved you for last because
That's
you
never
are
good, right?
well, no, it's going to be good because you are probably going to buy multiples of this console.
Oh,
There's
of course, yeah.
there's no doubt about it. And for someone who has a podcast, someone that talks about Xbox on a regular basis, both on social media and your own show, this interview, I think, was basically the exclamation point at the end of the conversation regarding power. And when you have, I mean, in the interview, I'm sure that he could have spoken to at least another half a dozen, maybe more developers. But the article was tremendously long, and everyone he spoke to had rave reviews. For you, are you surprised by this? And more importantly, are you impressed by the power of the Xbox Series X?
I'm really impressed. I'm not surprised because they knew they had to do something. 2013 was terrible all the way
Yeah.
up until we pretty much got the Xbox X. I mean, we didn't really have any games. We were pretty much lagging behind there for quite a number of years. So they knew they had to do something. They had to do something big. They had to do something huge. So I'm not surprised. I'm really kind of shocked it got to the point of where it is. When you're talking about it rivaling some PCs, I was kind of shocked because we all know I play a lot on PC. So that really did kind of shock me. But I'm really happy about it because I've always said, and I've said it on several podcasts, give me a reason not to play on my PC. Give me a reason to be able to play in my living room or wherever. Sometimes I just don't want to play on PC. I mean, some people don't understand. I don't have a lot of problems with my PC when I play on it. I mean, yeah, you get the occasional Windows 10 update. That's just part of gaming. And they're always right when you don't want them, like before you do a podcast or during the podcast. But just give me a reason to play more on the console. That's what I wanted. So I'm looking forward to both consoles being released. And yes, I will buy multiple of both. But of course, like I've said before, and it usually causes me a lot of headaches, I do prefer the Xbox. So go ahead. It's Wilmy Hood at Twitter. You can go ahead and send me the hate messages now. But yeah, I was really shocked, when I saw it, during the gaming awards and everything I've seen about it so far. I'm looking forward. The date's supposed to be the 5th of May.
Yeah, May 5th is the event. Supposedly, I think we're going to know tomorrow. That's what I'm hearing, but I could be wrong.
And I'm looking forward to seeing some of these games. And I'm not going to pull Tim's leg about Fable or any of those. I know there's a lot of rumors spreading around, so I can't wait to see what is really going on behind the scenes. I'm looking forward to it. It's a great year to be a gamer, even though we're all stuck indoors right now.
100%.
Not all
This is the gamer's life, folks. This is the gamer's life. But listen,
you were born for this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt about that. That's for sure. But listen, I'll tell you what. This has been an unbelievable show. We went a little bit further. It's crazy that we have over 650 people still here. I honestly don't. I'm at a loss for words, and usually that never happens.
That's the truth. Yeah,
and that is very.
You would agree.
Yeah. That is very much the truth. I am very humbled and thankful for the unbelievable love and support that this community continuously shows Double Barrel Gaming. And this channel would not be as successful as it is if it wasn't for you guys and gals out there. So let's get to the thanks. First of all, I want to thank the entire community for coming out. And of course, I have to thank the generosity from the super chats. It is unbelievably humbling. I'll say that again, that when people are enjoying something, that they go out of their way, whether it's $1, $2, or $15, it's your money, and I'm not owed anything. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And of course, let's get to the outros. Tim Dog, I want to thank you for hanging out with us for over 2 hours. I know you got a big show tomorrow night in RDX, and I know Dealer is going to be chomping at the bit. You as well to talk about Xbox. Dude, you are a rock star, and it was awesome to work with you once again. Tell everyone where they can find you on social media and check you out in other shows that you're on.
I am on Twitter, xCloud TimDog. Just search me up. I'm an Xbox avatar. You'll see it's pretty obvious. And on Tuesday nights, I'm on RDX, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of Halo talk. We're going to have a big Halo YouTuber on the show that's just going to guess Hidden Xperia. And I'm also Sunday nights for the relaxing game talk with Invader as host and the TXR boys.
That's a great show you guys have there, Tim.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace because I think it's
very laid back. It's very California,
right? And we kind of make it that way. Like we don't, we kind of tell we have like 6 panel members, but like if somebody can't make the show, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? We kind of just keep it. To try to keep it like a laid back type style because it's Sunday night too. And then for the hard and heavy stuff, RDX is pretty much where we land there. Appreciate that you guys have me on. Great show. Congratulations on hitting 700 concurrent. It's pretty big number considering how many people.
I've only been doing this for 2 years, Tim. So yeah, it is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean,
and I say you're welcome.
I was about to say something like that.
Well, thank you very much for being here.
Good job.
Thank you very much, Tim. Super appreciate it. And like I said, hopefully we'll get back to once this thing gets all fixed up. You and me and the Iron Lord sit down to a nice big steak dinner and kind of just shoot the shit a bit. Looking forward to that. Wilmy Hood, thank you so much for being here as always. You have a lot of stuff going on. You have your own show, which is fantastic, which I was a guest on last week. That was basically a free for all. It was almost like a slobber knocker wrestling match from the old WWF days. But listen, Wilmy, again, thank you so much for being here. Tell everyone where they can follow you, potentially be blocked by you, and also check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
I've been trying not to block as many people lately. I'm trying to be.
Your block game is very strong, though. I got to give you much props on that.
I'm up to 26,874. So I've got a small area blocked off of the country right now.
Oh my God.
You can find me on every game, every place you can play a game. Just type in Wilmy Hood. That's for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and yes, even Google Stadia. You can find me on Steam, Epic. You can find me everywhere. And then you can find me every Wednesday night with the Forking Crew at Wilmy Hood on YouTube. We do Gaming Beyond the Box. And as you can see, this is the first time I've used a webcam, so my entire panel is going to have a webcam Wednesday, and if you ever
that's going to be great.
There is no telling what the hell's going to happen.
Oh God, I know there's going to be a couple of beers popped live on air.
Except for me, I'm the only one on the panel that doesn't drink or get hot.
Yeah, me either. I don't drink either. Yeah, give me a Dr. Pepper, we're good.
Yeah, actually, I've got one of those right now.
Nice, excellent.
And yes, AP, we do plan on going back to Horrorcast at some point when there's actually something to talk about. With the whole COVID thing, a lot of stuff got delayed.
Yeah.
But that's it. I mean, you can find me just about everywhere. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. And been good having you on again. And me and Forte had fun. So
yeah, you absolutely did. But I mean, it's all about hashtag fun. Speaking of Forte, thank you so much for being here. You are our resident game know-it-all, if you will. You're our resident Destiny 2-player. You're also one of the community's absolute finest. To be honest with you, you put out these videos, of course, when the world was the world, and they were encouraging and they were fun and they were, inviting. And that's what I love about you. But more importantly, that's what I love about your channel. Your channel, you have content that's out there for everybody to digest and enjoy. And you also really bring your A game for the 17,333 shows you're on. Do me a favor, tell everyone where they can follow you, but more importantly, check out where you're also available on other podcasts. You're muted.
Yeah, I said. Oh yeah, I was muted. I said your outros are as good as your intros. So
Thanks, dude.
I truly appreciate that. And Wumi, thanks for stopping by, man. It was nice to have the camera on with you. Every once in a while, it's really good to just see the people you talk to every once in a while.
Absolutely.
It's weird now. It's gonna be weird now if you guys don't have your cameras on next time. That's all I'm saying.
Definitely check out Gaming Beyond the Box too, man. I know myself and Brat, we did a dual stream with them not too long ago, and that was freaking incredible.
That was crazy.
It was crazy going from one show to the other show. Literally was amazing. So check that show out. They do some really good things over there. Very, 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 very funny cast, and I really enjoyed the time with them. But outside of that, you catch me at Gaming Forte on YouTube and Twitter. Those are the absolute best places to just have great conversations and talk about games. That's all I'm about, is just talking about games. And then check us out on Wednesday nights on BRAP, B Money, E Jackson, Slomo Backslap. It's Enrique. I can't leave Enrique. He'll kill me if I leave his name out of something like that. And then already know about Crossfire. That's on Friday night, 7 p.m. And the lovely Ashton Luca. Shout out to the Ashton Luca. Every Sunday or Saturday, 4 p.m.
Saturday, yeah.
We never know when Luca gonna do a podcast. She might do it at.
Well, you know what it is. She hasn't been getting her hair done, so she's kind of stuck.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's probably why it's been consistently at 4:00 because she ain't had no hair. Well, you know what? That's about to get changed because they're lifting, stylists to be able to go into their places, but. That's a whole nother story. But no, man, that was a great show. I appreciate everybody for coming through, and we will check you guys out next week.
Thank you so much for being here. Cyber Knox, let's get you on out of here. Our resident Batman and Cape Crusader, keeping the streets of Connecticut safe from the Joker and his henchmen. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out your YouTube channel.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Boom. It was great being here today with everyone. Wilmy, Forte, Tempest, you as well, Boom, Tim Dog. I told you guys it's gonna be weird now. You guys gotta turn on your cameras every single time now, because now just looking at the logo,
the avatar,
it looks weird. It looks weird. But yeah, it was great. The chat was phenomenal. Boom, congratulations on the 700 plus.
Thank you, brother.
We're
appreciate
here tonight.
it.
And Cybernox on YouTube, on Xbox Live. If you ever feel like gaming, I'm on there most nights, most evenings, I would say. On Twitch at twitch.tv, Cybernox as well. I'll be streaming a little bit. And yeah, on Twitter at Cybernox right here. It's pretty simple. And I can't wait for next Monday so we can hopefully get some news by then and see some more of this Xbox mystery event. Who
knows? We could be talking about a pre-event, and if we do get that information, we'll do a prediction show next Monday. Oh, well, there's the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon. That looks dope, dude.
Yeah, and just stay safe out there, everyone.
Yes, obviously. Yeah, definitely stay safe and make proper choices. And last but no way least, our resident, I'll kill you on the battlefield, don't mess with me in a first-person game, MMO Hunter of Hunters, Tempest Son. Thank you so much, dude, for being here. Really appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us each and every week. Tell everyone where they can follow you, but more importantly, be assassinated by you on a video game of your choice.
Oh my God. You can find me at the Tempest.
You're gonna get no friends because of me. I want you to know.
That's fine, dude. At the Tempest Son on Twitter. Tempest Son's my gamer tag, and I had an incredibly good time. We got 2 screams out of Tim Dog. I love that guy.
That was awesome.
His yells just fill me with joy. So yeah, they really do. So I had a great time, and I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, well, like I said, next week what we'll do is if we get confirmation that we are going to get a May 5th event, we will do an entire show based on what information, whatever we have in a prediction show. And as we close it out, let me just thank a couple of Vocals Creek drops a $2 super chat and says, great show. Hit that like button. Thank you so much, dude. Gamer by Choice drops an additional $5 super chat and says, great show, Boom and panel. I enjoyed the conversation. You guys are awesome. Hit that like and subscribe, everyone. Well, thank you for the compliments, dude. And Valerian drops a $2 super chat and he says, Wilmy the Mimi King. Yeah, he's definitely that. He definitely does that. And Sean 190 drops a $2 super chat and says, Knox 860 or 203.
203.
There you go. The area code. So again, folks, listen, all jokes aside, right now, where finally looks as if the world is turning a corner. But that doesn't mean you can get out there and just act as if the COVID situation is gone. It's not. It's still here. Be safe. Don't take chances. And more importantly, think about your fellow man. Remember, when you go out there and you're acting a fool, you are putting not only your life, but someone else's in danger. Don't do that. Let's just all have some patience, and we will definitely get through this. And let me close out with the show that my dad taught me, and maybe blame to others, but it made me the best man I could be. And he used to tell me when I was a kid, son, treat people how you want to be treated, and it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you are going to have an awesome day. Take care, everyone. Good night. Be safe. God bless. Love and kisses from Mrs. Boomstick and myself, and we will see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.